Podcast.
Hi, James. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you very much.
Okay.
It's nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to anybody in the current circumstances, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Missing the festivals and events.
Yeah, I think this was the first summer I've had off in, I can't remember how long, since we started Cabrito, like 9 years ago. I've always done most weekends have been filled up with doing something to do with goats and cooking. And this summer I didn't have anything, and I couldn't even play cricket to replace it. So,
okay, so what's been the biggest challenge and the biggest benefit of lockdown for you?
Business point of view, we lost 95% of our business overnight when the restaurants closed. So that was a bit of oh my God, what are we going to do? So we had to reorientate the business, and instead of it being sort of restaurant focused with a little bit of online sales to the general public, we have completely flipped it on its head and gone focused almost 100% on the general public with our offer. And then if and when the restaurants come back, we'll treat them as a bonus. So we've had to completely reorientate the business over the last year, which has worked. It sounds insane, but we've had a 600% increase in our online sales.
Right. Can you remember the first thing you ever cooked?
Yes, jam tarts with my mum. My mum is the most amazing baker. Her cakes are just unbelievable. And when we lived in a small cottage not very far from here, like 5 miles from here, my dad was a cab driver in London, and she used to make a bit of extra money by making cakes. And she used to give me the offcuts of the pastry and the Yorkshire pudding tins, and I used to cut the pastry out with a pastry, whatever they're called, those things you push down and twist. Yep. And then stuff that into the holes in the baking trays, and then fill it with jam, and then I'd stick them at the bottom of the oven.
And I bet the last thing you cooked was a bit more complicated than a jam tart.
Well, because it's Friday and the kids have fish and chips at school on a Friday, I've actually just done oven chips and fish fingers and peas.
I love it.
So I wish I could say it was, I don't know, a 7-hour goat shoulder or something more, or halibut or something more, but it wasn't. It was fish fingers, chips and peas. Right.
Now, I know, because we've sent it to you, you've got quite a battery of Netherton Foundry pans.
I do, yeah.
You do, lucky you. Which one is your absolute favourite?
Without question, the wok.
Yeah?
Yeah, without question, the wok. As I've said in the book that we'll talk about later, and I think, Diana Henry's book Oven to Table was basically an ode to Netherton Foundry style pans. The simplicity of just taking them out, putting them on the table. And whenever I do curries, as you've seen from my Instagram, your pans take center stage. So I do, the wok, in terms of its aesthetic, I really love the wok because it's multifunctional. It can look like an Indian pan with a curry in it and really beautiful, or you can use it actually as a wok. So it looks great with stir fry noodles and rice and that kind of stuff in it. But I use the Prospector pans more.
Last question for you.
Right.
I just wonder if you've got any news that you'd like to be sharing with the greater world.
Yes. Well, it's funny you should ask, Sue. I have I've just written Cooking on the Big Green Egg. I don't know if this is video, so I'll hold it up. There you go. And it's 70 recipes for cooking techniques and kind of how to use it, based on the idea, I think, that there are a lot of big green eggs that sit in people's back gardens that are very rarely used because people in the UK, still, it's changing a lot, but still people regard barbecuing as burning sausages and flipping burgers. So what the book tries to do is get you to realize that basically it's just an oven that lives in the garden, and it can do anything that an oven can do. And because of its multifunctionality, it can do a lot of things that your oven can't do, which is adding those layers of flavor with the smoke and the direct flame, and also adding texture that your oven can't. It can achieve sort of really high temperatures that your home oven can't. So it's good for pizza and lamachan and baking and all that kind of stuff. So there's lots of what we were talking about earlier on with the Diana Henry Oven to Table thing. There's loads of, Netherton Foundry feature really heavily in it because they're obviously your pans are robust and they'll stand up to a lot of high heat and changing temperatures and all that kind of thing. And also, as we talked about, you can lift the big green egg up, take the thing out, plonk it straight on the table, and it will look great in those pans as well. So you feature quite heavily in it.
And when's the book published?
Hopefully it will be in the middle or towards the end of April, but I'm not 100% sure just yet because of the delay getting it on a boat over from China.
But we can order it in advance, can't we?
Yeah, it is for sale via Amazon, and there's more information on the Big Green Egg website. They've started promoting it, and the first recipe they pulled out was the Trini duck curry, which is probably my favourite recipe in the entire book. I was in Trinidad twice last year, helping them with some of their goat, to do with their internal goat supply. And I went out. I was at a goat farm, and I got asked to come around the back of the goat farm to pick some lunch up, and they were making a Trini curry over an open fire in a massive wok. And instead of this Trini curry taking 4 or 5 hours like it would here, they just boil it, and it took about an hour. And I always think that the best recipes in cookbooks are the ones that have a proper connection with the author, and this one I do have a proper connection with. The other reason that it's good is because it uses the Netherton wok. I don't know if you can see that. It uses the Netherton wok. I'm just amazed that people let me write cookbooks, and it looks amazing. Sam Folan's photography in it is beautiful.
That is fantastic. Well, thank you so much for finding the time to talk to us.
That's all right.
All this absolute chaos, and I'm looking forward to us being able to actually meet up again.
Yeah, well, that
sometime.
Tell me what happens soon. I think we'll be all right for Ludlow. I think Ludlow will be okay.
I hope so.
Podcast.